All right. Hi. I think I'm recording. I'm Sarah DeGrave, if we haven't met already, and welcome to the Resolution Reset Workshop. I'm so excited to share this with you, and I'm glad that you're here. And this workshop really came from both a personal place for me and for a lot of the people I know, kind of just like in response to this year and how things have not exactly gone to plan, and a lot of us were left partway through the year wondering, what do I do now? All of the goals that I set for the big 2020 suddenly seem laughably impossible because of current circumstances. So this is sort of a new or a slight twist on the normal approach to setting goals and resolutions or intentions or whatever it is that um, is your process or tradition at the end of the year. For me, I don't set kind of typical resolutions, but the winter is a great time of reflection and kind of the end of the year, the energy around that. My birthday also falls in December, so kind of the end of that year for me, it's just a great time to kind of stop and reflect on the past year and kind of set my intentions moving forward of what is it that I want to move toward in this new year. So whatever resolutions is for you, this will still apply. It's not really just about kind of your typical resolutions. So this workshop was born in response to that, which I'll talk about a little bit later also. What else did I want to say before we get started? There is a lot of content in here, and I haven't timed it out how long it's going to take, so I'm going to try to move through it pretty quickly. But since this is pre-recorded, you can always pause to complete an exercise, take as much time as you want with it. This is an interactive workshop as far as exercises for you to do as we're going along. So you want to have a piece of paper or a journal, or pause if you haven't already printed off the worksheets, and you can print those off and use those. But scrap paper is also fine if that's what you have at hand. I won't tell you to close all the tabs on your computer and turn off your cell phone and eliminate all distractions, because I know that's not always feasible. And whenever I'm taking a webinar and the host is like, and now like eliminate all the distractions so you can focus just on this, I'm like, I appreciate your intention, but I'm going to keep doing my dishes because I really need to get this done. But I would also like to listen to what you're sharing. So do what you got to do. I'm all about, real life and just keeping it simple and practical and doable for you. If you can just listen along while you are doing something else and then come back to it later and take a little bit more of a deep dive, that's totally fine. This recording will be available through December 24th. So you can come back and really dive into it deeper if you don't have time right now. But if you do have time right now, I highly recommend it, because you will get the most out of it by actually doing all the exercises. And also it's so easy to forget to come back to it. And then we just kind of go through another year being like, what happened? So take the time if you can, when you can, piece of paper or print off the worksheets. Any other housekeeping? I think that's it. Let's get started. I'm just going to share my screen. Share. And here we are. Had a little bit of tech difficulties with this presentation part earlier, so hopefully it all works out. And make sure that I'm minimized. Great, so welcome to the Resolution Reset, a new approach to New Year's resolutions. Oh, no, it's still not letting me click through on the screen share. So I'm gonna have to use my mouse. Apologies for this little distraction over here. What to expect from this workshop. First, we're gonna lay the foundations by assessing where we are at life satisfaction-wise and identifying what's important to us. And then we'll talk about what to do with that information and how to set goals that are adaptable and that satisfy your core needs, and ways to take action towards those goals with less effort and more creativity. And then we'll touch on at the end next steps of setting yourself up for success, creating support systems, and I'll talk just briefly about how to keep working with me if you want to kind of dive a little bit deeper into this material, if it resonates with you and you want to take it a little bit farther, or if you want help with the next steps afterwards. I will talk about at the very end options for that. So why this workshop? Why this? Why now? As I mentioned earlier, last year's goals probably didn't work out, did they? 2020 really brought home the fact that you never know what's going to happen. If we want to be resilient and flow with life, we need to set flexible goals that keep us centered no matter what comes along to, that should say, throw us off balance. You can't achieve deep fulfillment by setting shallow goals. So traditional goals and resolutions do not always lead to greater happiness. And that is because they're based usually on external results instead of internal needs and values. Hi, I'm Sarah. As you know by now, I'm a holistic life coach, by which I just mean that I like to look at both the mind, not both, all the mind, body, and spirit aspects of things, and kind of really, and we'll see in this workshop, kind of the concept that everything is connected. All these areas of our lives are connected, and we kind of do ourselves a disservice sometimes by segmenting them out. Also a restorative exercise specialist, a musical theater nerd, and a 100% cat lover. So here's kind of the process we're going to follow. We're going to assess and address. This is the kind of the process that I like to use, whether I'm working with someone on restorative exercise or life coaching. In order to know where you want to go, it's helpful to know where you're at. So first we kind of assess the situation. And then once we have an idea of that, once you know where you're at and where you want to be, you can start making a plan to get from one place to the other and bridge that gap. So these are the areas we're going to assess today in our lives, just kind of just general life areas. There are definitely, depending on your life and your values, some of these will be weighted more heavily than other ones, or there might be other categories that you would want to add later on if you're coming back and doing this more in depth. But these are this covers a lot of ground. So we're going to start with these. So career and education, both the financial support side of it, is it supporting you financially? Is it fulfilling and engaging? Relationships. So these are like your intimate relationships, close friends, close family, romantic partnerships, and then community, which is more of a larger network of relationships, extended family, chosen family, and work and hobby networks. So these kind of larger groups that you might belong to. Health and wellness, both the physical, movement, nutrition, etc., and mental health and wellness. Rest and recreation, your work-life balance, your intentional play and rest, your environment, both your home space, your workspace, and your access to nature. Spirituality, which can mean whatever it means for you, your connection to yourself and the world, or religion, and personal development, the opportunities you have for growth and self-improvement or lifelong learning. So we're going to go through these categories one by one, and I'll just throw some questions out there to help you brainstorm. This is a great time to grab your first worksheet, the first page of the worksheet that has has all these areas of assessment with the little bar where you can fill it in out of 10. And as we go through, and you think about these questions for yourself, and this is also a great time that if you need to pause after each of these to think about it a little bit more, definitely take advantage of the pause button. So, so as we go through these, you'll fill out on your worksheet, if you have the worksheet, kind of just drawing on that scale, um, filling in the number out of those 10 squares that you feel like you are at kind of general satisfaction wise, and also like how in alignment with like what you, like your ideal you are, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm not explaining this very clearly right now for some reason, probably because I'm not looking at my worksheet. Um, so filling that in kind of what out of 10. And if you don't have the worksheet, you can just make a little score for yourself. So you're scoring yourself out of 10. That's the gist of it. Scoring yourself out of 10, either on the worksheet or in your journal or on a piece of paper for each of these categories, depending on how you feel. Like, how do I feel generally about my work, education, career, that area of my life? Am I feeling pretty okay about it? Am I like, meh, like around a 5? Am I feeling really great about it? Am I at an 8? Am I feeling really like this area of my life needs a lot of work and I am not anywhere close to where I want to be? I'm down like at a 2. So just feel it out for yourself. And then also in that little box to the right of each of those um, score gauge things, uh, that's where you can just make some notes on your values in that area. And by values, I just mean what's important to you. So what is important to you in your work? Um, it's not going to be the same for everyone. So for some of us, like the financial support aspect is going to be really strong. That's going to be high priority for you. It's going to be really important to you. Maybe you really value being able to take care of your family. You really value being financially secure and having a lot in savings makes you feel safe and secure. Whereas someone else, that might not be as important to them, and that's totally fine. Maybe they are single and they don't have a family to support, and they feel totally comfortable kind of flying by the seat of their pants and making things work month to month, and that doesn't bother them. So it's going to depend on you what your values are and what is important to you. Is it really important to you to have creativity in your career? Is it really important to you to have like a team aspect to your work? So just kind of think about that as we go along, and just kind of jot some words in that box, or if you're writing in your journal of what is important to you. What is your score out of 10, satisfaction wise? And then what is important to you in this area? What are your needs? So for work, career, education, here are some questions to consider. Does my work utilize my unique strengths, skills, and talents? Is it energizing or draining? Does it fulfill my financial needs? Does it fit with my desired lifestyle? Move on to keep this rolling. Relationships, your close relationships. Do I have a handful of close friends who love and accept me for who I am? Do I have the type of romantic relationships I desire? Do I set healthy boundaries with family members? So thinking about your close friends, your romantic relationship, and your close family relationships. Um, how are you feeling in that area? Again, press pause if you need to take time and think about it, which I'm sure um, for all of these categories, it takes a little bit of time to stop and think about it. So, community, do I feel connected to a community outside of my close friends and relationships, a larger community? And how active am I in these communities? Do I feel like I receive as much support as I give? And these are, again, just like a couple of questions just to kind of get you thinking. You can also just go with your gut instinct and be like, I don't need to even think about any specific questions. I just like really feel like I'm a 6 out of 10 here. And these are the words that just pop into my mind when I think, what is important to me about community? What are my needs in terms of community? You can just kind of popcorn those thoughts down. Health and wellness. How do I feel in my body? Is my body getting the nutrition and movement it needs? Do I take time for self care? How is my mental health? Am I getting the support I need in that area? Rest and recreation. Do I take time to play? Do I take time to rest? Do my recreational activities leave me feeling refreshed and energized, or am I using my downtime to numb out and distract myself from stress and anxiety, or perhaps even causing yourself more stress and anxiety through the activities that you're choosing to do in your downtime? Spirituality. Do I take time to feed myself on a spiritual level, whatever that means to you? Do I feel comfortable with and connected to my beliefs around spirituality and religion? Does spiritual community play as big of a role in my life as I would like it to? Personal growth. Do I feel like I'm consistently growing and learning? Do I have a clear idea of the goals I want to achieve and the steps to get there? Do I feel a sense of purpose and direction in my life and throughout my day? Environment. Do I have a comfortable, clean, uplifting home environment? Do I have a work environment that promotes focus and minimizes stress? Do I get outside in nature on a regular basis? Perhaps do you have nature in and around you inside also? Um, and this is another one where what it means is going to be dependent on you and your lifestyle and where you're at. Nature might be, am I getting out for a walk in the woods? Or it might be like, is there a couple of pots on my tiny apartment balcony that have some green things in them? So the next steps, after you've taken time to rate all those things and take some notes on what's important to you in each of those categories, we're going to prioritize. So we're not going to tackle all of these things at once, depending on what's going on for you. Um, you'll determine which areas are the most important to you in this season of your life, which will have the biggest impact if you focus your attention on them first. So, as this clearly says already, like depending on what's happening in your life right now, different things are going to be more of a priority. So you want to pick just like 3 things, and on the next worksheet you'll see a place to write those 3 top priorities. So pick 3 of these categories that you feel like, yes, in this period of my life right now, these are the things that are either just like really, I really need to be focusing on, or I really want to be focusing on. And also, which ones are going to have the biggest impact if you focus on them now? And it might not always be what we think it is or what we are currently focusing on. So it's a good question to stop and ask yourself. For example, you might be really focused on getting to the next level in your career while kind of putting some health issues on the back burner and being like, well, I just have to get through this final push to get to the next level, and then I'll have more time and energy to work on the health stuff. When perhaps the reality is, if you address the health area first, then you would have the energy and focus and mood support to more easily, if that's a word, uh, get through that next push in your career with less struggle and fatigue and discomfort in your body. And then we're going to identify any new discoveries that you made during this assessment. Were there things that popped up that you didn't realize were values for you, or areas of your life that you're like, oh, I haven't really thought about that part of my life, or I haven't like kind of done an assessment of that area of my life for a while, and I'm realizing now that it's not really where I would like it to be at, or that it's really like grown in the past few years, and like maybe now I have a thriving community that I wasn't necessarily focused on building, but it's just nice to stop and appreciate that. Or maybe you've been really focused on other things and realize that your community aspect has kind of taken a back seat and that you're really missing it. So any new discoveries and what needs need to be met in order to feel more satisfied in these areas? And what do you need to change in order to be more in alignment with your values? And then the next step is action. So what steps can I take to close the gap between where I am and where I want to be? There are multiple approaches to setting goals, so let's take a look at a few of them. So the most kind of basic approach to goal setting is this what, how version, which is just like, what do I want? How do I get it? And this usually tends to be kind of more in alignment with that traditional approach to resolution setting, where it's kind of more of an external, surfacey goal sometimes. Or it could be like a very deep personal goal, but it's very specific. It's like a specific what, like this is the thing that I'm trying to get. This is how I'll get it. And then this next approach to goal setting goes a little bit deeper, and we have the what, like what is it that I want, but then we also delve into why do I want that, and then we get to the action steps of how do I get it. And that why really adds a lot of kind of focus of being able, it helps you to suss out like, is this actually in alignment with what I want, or is it just something that I feel like I should be doing, or that someone else told me I should be doing? So it helps us kind of get more clear on if that what thing, if that item or goal is really in alignment for us. And it also helps keep us motivated toward that goal. So when we really have that deep connection to our why, then that keeps us going, doing the actions toward getting the thing that we want. So this is a great system. I use it a lot and I love it, but it doesn't always do super well when it comes to things kind of not going the way that you planned. So when the external circumstances change and the thing that you are trying to achieve no longer really becomes feasible, this isn't a very flexible system for kind of deciding what to do next, or where to go next, or how to adapt that goal. So what the approach that we're going to take today and talk about is starting with the why, and then the what, and then the how. And by that, I really just mean like prioritizing the why and coming back to the why when the what needs to change. So there's kind of a mix of like starting, well, you'll see it. I'll give you some examples and you'll see what I mean. So adaptable goals, why start with why? Your circumstances might change, but your values probably won't. They will shift over time, but they probably won't drastically change very quickly. They might change in response to your circumstances, but kind of those core needs and values are going to stay pretty steady. If you know why you are doing something, you can find other ways to meet that same need if your first plan falls through. And getting our needs met and living in alignment with our values brings that sense of satisfaction and clarity and calm that most of us are looking for. Like the reason that we are setting these goals in the first place is usually so that we will feel good. And we will feel confident and satisfied once we reach those goals. But as we talked about earlier, setting just those kind of shallow traditional goals doesn't necessarily bring that same sense of deep satisfaction that um, just living in alignment with our values does. So here's an example. So traditional goal might be to travel or travel more. Um, and even more specifically, it could be like to go to this location at this time, whatever that goal is. So if we're going to start with the why, and so if we're going to start with the why, we're going to ask ourselves, what needs are you trying to meet through travel? And why is traveling important to you? So we're kind of shifting the focus instead of keeping the focus on this specific, I want to go to Paris for 2 weeks in October. Um, we're delving into the why so that we can have an adaptable goal, as you'll see in a moment. So reasons why I might want to travel is to expand my worldview. I want to see, smell, hear, and taste new things. I want excitement, adventure. I like the engagement and stimulation, escapism, meet new people, make new friends. And then going to the what, it could be this 2 weeks in Paris in October. But if that doesn't work out, what are other ways I could meet these needs beyond just traveling? So I could plan my next adventure by researching itineraries, learning a language, get in shape for a trek, etc. Eat at local restaurants with authentic food from other cultures, take up a physical hobby that provides an adrenaline rush, join some international online communities. So I'm really matching these what's to the whys. I'm looking at the needs that I'm trying to meet. I'm looking at the values I'm trying to fulfill and kind of the lifestyle I'm trying to create for myself. And then I'm really being creative with what are all of the ways that I could do that. You don't have to give up the dream of traveling, but if something unexpected comes up or you're simply not in a position to travel at the moment, you can adapt your goal to something achievable under your current circumstances. By centering the why, you don't have to wait for that specific what or how in order to move in the direction of fulfilling your needs and desires. So, this just kind of shift in perspective allows you not only to adapt your goals if something comes up and makes your ideal situation not achievable anymore, but also if you're just like, if you know that you kind of have a dream or a desire that is not feasible at this period in your life, this is a system that you can use to still move in the direction of meeting those really core, deep desires and needs in ways that are matched to your current circumstances. So you don't have to wait to have the circumstances to travel to Paris in order to start meeting in order to start kind of moving, seeing the reasons why you wanted to go to Paris in the first place and kind of working on addressing those desires and needs and underlying reasons. You can also ask yourself what this change in circumstances makes possible that you wouldn't have considered before. For example, if you want to travel, does an enforced break allow you to save more money to take an epic trip you've never even dreamed of, or give you time and resources to start your own online business that you could run from anywhere in the world? So again, like using that creativity and that freedom and that flexibility to imagine like what is possible now under these new circumstances. Stacking your life, the ultimate life hack. I love this philosophy of stacking your life. And this is kind of the part when I mentioned what we would be covering about learning learning ways to take action um, toward your goals in ways that are fun and creative and kind of simplify your life in a lot of ways and maximize your time and energy. And that is by stacking different needs. So, how can you meet needs in multiple areas of your life at the same time instead of we live in a culture that tends to really segment things, and we think of like work and family and romantic relationships and play and spirituality as like all these separate areas of our life, when really that kind of holistic piece of bringing all those things together, we can start to see the ways that they not only influence each other and are really deeply connected, but also we can lean into that and utilize those connections to really optimize our our lifestyle and get a lot of our needs met at the same time. So these are just some examples. If you wanted to combine your need to work with your body's need for movement, you could take your phone call meeting on a walk. You could create a more dynamic workspace that allows you to move around more. Um, and if you need any resources on that, definitely reach out to me. I have like a whole program about everyday movement, but also can recommend some great books on dynamic workspaces. Um, Spirituality and nutrition. You could practice mindful eating, where you really stop and pause and focus on your chewing and the taste of your food. You could grow and harvest your own food, so you're really connecting with the earth that it's coming from. Relationship and play. You could have a game night with your spouse or best friend. You could plan a staycation day with your kids. So really getting creative and like, these are the different needs that I have in these different areas of my life. How can I meet them? How can I combine them? So what are your goals and how might you stack them? Take a moment to write down some of your whys, whats, and hows, and you'll find space for this on the worksheet. You can just write in your journal, like what are, and sometimes, and this is where these two kind of approaches to goal setting mash together. Sometimes you need to start with the what to kind of get your brain going. So it's totally fine to start with like, well, these are the goals that I think that I want, or these are the goals that I would like to set for this year, and then kind of delve into the why and then bounce back to the what and look at like, how are other ways that I could meet those needs. And that can be, you can do this in two circumstances. One, you can do it, you can just wait until circumstances change and then come back to this process. So let's say you have a goal, you're going along on that goal, something changes, it's no longer workable, then you can come back to the why and do this process of like, okay, I'm going to look really deeply at my why, I'm going to really flesh that out, and then I'm going to come back to like, what are all the other ways that I can be in alignment in this area and still be moving in that same direction, as far as like really feeling that satisfaction of moving toward a life that is in alignment with my values and where I'm getting my needs met. Um, so you can wait until something happens and then come back and use this process, and or you can use this process from the beginning to see if there are some opportunities that you maybe are missing or have overlooked, where you just kind of assumed that this one way was the way to get your need met. But maybe when you do this exploration, you see, oh, actually, there are these other ways, and like I'm kind of drawn to this other thing, or I really want to focus on this area of my life. So I have this one big goal, but now that I'm looking at other ways that I can meet those values and needs, I'm seeing all these other tiny shifts I can make in my life that don't have to be these big, like top 3 goals of my year, but maybe it's just like I can make a little shift in this area and be even closer in alignment with this path that I want to be on, um, while still pursuing this one kind of large ideal goal. You might just make some other lifestyle shifts or shifts to your relationships that also bring everything else in your life into alignment in a way that supports that larger goal. So lots of different ways you can use this process. And if you want to hit pause and take some time to write out your whys and whats and hows and your ideas of how you might stack some of those together, then please do take time to do that. And then we will move on. So what now? What comes next after we do this whole process? So the next step is support systems. Clarifying your values and setting your goals is all well and good, but if you don't put strong support systems in place, chances are you'll end right back where you started a year from now, feeling stuck, frustrated, and unfulfilled. I know I have spent many a year being like, has anything changed? I'm just right back where I was. And building in those support systems is really key to staying on track. And these are some of the common pitfalls why we don't succeed despite our best intentions. So it's not about that we don't want something. It's just the way that our brains are wired and our personal lifestyles and all these other aspects that kind of complicate things. So some of the common pitfalls are losing focus or getting too busy. You're constantly distracted by whatever arises in the moment and forget to take time to look at the big picture and make sure you're still on track to what you said you wanted. Maybe you procrastinate. You're always intending to sit down and map out your action plan or take the next step toward your goal. But without outside accountability, you never actually follow through. Maybe you get overwhelmed or confused. When you try to think about all this stuff, you just get overwhelmed and totally shut down. You need someone to guide you through the process step by step so you can get clear on what you want and how to get it without freaking out. Or you just don't know what you don't know. You're missing some hidden connections, helpful resources or information, or limiting beliefs that are holding you back. You need an outside perspective to get your next breakthrough. Support is essential. If you match any of those descriptions, I know I do. Like, honestly, I experience all of those in the past and still to this day, sometimes on the daily, every single one of those. Or you have other barriers that are holding you back from creating a life that you love. You owe it to yourself to get outside support. You don't have to do it all by yourself. Sometimes it feels like we really just need to, buck up and try harder. But really, sometimes it's not about us pushing harder. It's about us putting in place the systems that are going to make it so that we don't have to push so hard because we've just built in this support. So resolution reset coaching session, a special coaching session designed specifically to help you hone in on what you want to create more of in the new year. This is the way that I can help you. So if the type of support you are wanting or needing revolves around delving a little bit farther into this work or getting clearer on what to do with it and your next steps, or anything around kind of reflecting on where you're at and making your plan for moving forward, I am offering just this month in December this special resolution reset coaching session. And of course, there are lots of other types of support that you might need in addition to this or instead of this. So if you need like community support or therapy or practical systems like business tools. There are lots of different types of support, and coaching is just one of them. But coaching can be super valuable, especially for kind of overcoming lots of those common pitfalls. So having some of that outside accountability, having someone to walk you through it so that it doesn't have to be all on your shoulders and all on your, like, how much like motivation you have that day to get the thing done. Sometimes it's just like such a load off your mind to just have a place where you're like, okay, I'm going to show up at this time and we're going to walk through it together and then it will be done. And also there will be someone else to kind of help me see blind spots that I might have, or help me ask the questions I need to get a little bit more clear. Lots of different ways that I can support you in that process, depending on what your situation is and what it is you're trying to achieve and the obstacles that you're facing. This is not something I normally offer, and there are limited spots available. So this offer ends December 24th, or whenever the spots are full. You can sign up for sessions through the end of the year. So you just need to sign up before the 24th, but then there will be like a week of sessions available. The sessions are available all throughout December. So you can sign up today or you can sign up on the 24th. But when those spots fill up, I won't be offering anymore. And I don't normally offer just these one-time sessions. Normally it's just like a package of larger sessions. So this is a great chance to just kind of get a taste of working together, but also just if you just need like a little extra boost or a little extra clarity or a little extra accountability, if this is something you really want to focus on in this time and kind of set yourself up to move forward and then like just get what you need and then roll with it, that's great. Some people that will be just all that they need is just like, I just need one kind of concentrated session to work out some stuff, and then, I can take off running with that. And for some people, they might want that concentrated session and then ongoing support. So I'm available for all of that. And for this special session, which would normally be $100 value for like a one session, if I offered them, it's just $47. So I want to make it really accessible and just like a really easy way for us to work together and do this kind of exciting, I find it exciting work of, having this really focused clarity session around your goals for the new year. So what is it? It's a 60-minute one-on-one online coaching session, so via Zoom, focused on getting you the support and clarity you need to feel good about your intentions for the new year. So that I just want you to go into 2021 feeling a little bit more clear and confident than wherever you're at right now, and wherever we otherwise would end 2020 feeling maybe like totally confused and chaotic. I'm all about creating sustainable change without overwhelm. So each session will be tailored to where you're at in the process. If you are stuck at square one, we'll just focus on clarifying what you want and ways you could get it. If you've made it through all of these exercises, if you've hit pause 10 times and you've really taken the time to dig deep into all these areas and you feel good about what you've come out of it with, then we can focus on nailing down your action plan and those support systems that you're going to need to really get you all the way through the end of the year without, just kind of giving up partway through or hitting a wall or getting stuck. And this is just a quote I love. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. So good for you for being here and being yourself and, doing the work to really support yourself and your desires and your vision for your life, and allowing yourself to to have that vision and to feel that you deserve to be your most aligned, authentic self. Um, and it does sometimes take that extra support because it is it is quite the accomplishment in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else. So don't live 2021 on autopilot. If you're tired of setting the same New Year's resolutions or goals year after year, or if you're just a little bit afraid to dream big after the chaos of 2020, this is for you. It's never too soon or too late to start bringing your life into alignment. Click the link below this video if you want to sign up for that resolution reset coaching and do that before December 24th, or really as soon as possible, just to make sure that you get a spot and that they don't fill up. And that's it. If you have any questions for me, you can always email me at hello@alignmentandalchemy.com. I would love to hear from you. And have a happy new year. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.